we go, off we go, off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder, and a boy, give her the gun. Down we dive, spotting our flame from under, off with one terrible roar. We live in flame, we'll go down in flame, boy, nothing will stop the Army Air Corps. Off we go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. Adam, boys, give her the gun. Down we dive, counting our flame from under. Off with one terrible roar. We live in fame or go down in flame. Boy, nothing will stop the Army Air Corps.
Hi, everybody. This is Captain Fred, your host for Aviation Theater and a proud member of the San Diego Aerospace Museum, the first place to visit when you come to San Diego. We have a good program for you today, and we'll get started right after this important message.
Hey, San Diego, it's time to get up close and personal with a history of aviation, and there's no better place than the San Diego Aerospace Museum. See warbirds like the P-40 Warhawk, the P-51 Mustang, and modern-day jets such as the F-18 and the F-14 Tomcat, all brought back to life by the men who flew them. And it's all waiting for you at the San Diego Aerospace Museum in beautiful Balboa Park and our restoration facilities at Gillespie Field and El Cajon. Come fly with us soon.
Welcome once again to Captain Fred's Aviation Theater. Today we're visiting with Anglo American Flight School at Gillespie Airport in El Cajon, California. And here with me is Edward Kennelly, and he's going to tell you about giving flight instruction in the new Katana. Edward, not many flight schools use the Katana. Why did you choose this particular airplane?
Well, the Katana is a relatively new plane on the market, and I find it's a very good training plane to teach people. I mean, if you look back a little bit, most people learn on 152s.
Cessna 150
yeah,
or 152.
But obviously these days they look a little bit outdated. To a new student, this plane, as you can see, it looks a lot more appealing.
Looks modern.
And it's a very easy plane to fly. Instead of the yoke, we have the stick control. You'll see that the plane...
Which is back to the basics.
Back to the basics, and I think you get a better feel for flying when you're instructing this way or learning to fly like that.
Okay, let's talk about the Katana. It's obviously made of composite.
Yes, it is. It is a composite construction of all of the aircraft. We have a constant pitch propeller, which you don't have on a 152 or most standard trainers, but it's good to get into that, you know, straight away, because if you're going to go further on in flying, you're going to be flying planes with constant pitch prop.
Now, composite is resin and cloth and chemicals mixed together.
Yep.
Like epoxy.
Yes.
It's, if I remember the numbers correctly, it's a third the weight of steel and twice as strong. So your engine is pulling an airplane that weighs less than half of what an ordinary airplane weighs.
That's right. That is right.
So that increases the performance.
Not only that increases obviously the weight, but if you look at the design of the plane, it's very sleek. It's very aerodynamic.
Aerodynamically clean.
The drag is greatly reduced on this aircraft. When we have a 912 cc engine in here, which is a Rotax, only producing 80 horsepower. And this plane,
how many?
80.
80 horsepower.
Yeah. And you can still cruise at about 120.
120 knots or
yeah.
miles?
Knots.
Knots. 120 knots, which is what, 140 miles an hour?
Well, we'll say 138 miles an hour.
138.
Around there, yeah. So
it's a Rotax engine?
Yeah, it is a Rotax engine.
Is it 4-stroke?
It's 2-stroke, 4-cylinder, horizontally opposed, yes.
A 2-stroke engine does 138 knots. Wow, what kind of gas does it drink?
Well, on cruise, about 75%. Obviously, cruise power, it's about 3.8 gallons an hour, which is very, very low.
Less than 4 gallons an hour.
Very cheap plane supply.
138 knots on 3.8 gallons of gas. That's very economical.
Very economical. Great for flight schools, of course, because you cut down a little bit on your fuel costs.
Right.
And even students flying cross-country, it's going to cost them a little bit less to take this plane other than a Cherokee or something like that.
Sure, because they have to take a long cross-country.
Yeah, and they're going to be paying for the fuel. So.
Okay, so we have a composite airframe, and we have a 2-stroke Rotax engine, and the propeller, now they're making them out of composite now, aren't they?
This is actually a Hoffman composite propeller. Obviously, if you'd like to touch the propeller, you can. It moves freely. I'll just show you here if I can move. It just goes like that. Obviously, you can see this is a constant speed.
Oh,
just moving
yes.
like that.
So it's not ground adjustable. You don't have to adjust it on the ground before you take off.
No, you just adjust it from
it's
inside the plane.
It's adjustable from inside.
Yeah.
So that way you don't need to choose a 2-bladed propeller or a 3-bladed propeller, because you can adjust the pitch from inside for climb or for speed, for power.
That's right, Fred. Yeah, you can, but they don't actually make the Katana with a 3-bladed propeller. They've just bought a new...
Well, no, what I said was you don't need a 3-bladed
Well, you don't
propeller.
need it, no, of course, because you've got
with
the
the
option.
adjustable pitch.
That's right.
And you can adjust this while you're flying in the air.
Yes, you
from
can.
Inside.
Yes, you can, Fred, yeah.
Wow. So you adjust this for climb when you take off to get over the 50-yard obstacle.
50 feet or whatever, whatever you call it.
And then after you get out of the pattern and you get ready to go cross-country, you adjust it for...
Obviously for your best fuel burn, your best economy, You don't want to obviously put too much stress on the engine, so you'll lower RPMs.
Our next guest on Captain Fred's Aviation Theater is Michael Raftery, and he's a student pilot here at Anglo American Aviation. Tell our viewers what's involved in getting your pilot's license. First, you have to go to a doctor and get a medical checkup and take it from there.
That's right, yes. I did that when I got on here on my first day in the States, and that was about 10 days ago, and since then I've been flying with my instructor.
Oh, you've only been here 10 days?
Yeah, just 10 days, yeah. So it was my first time in an aeroplane, small aeroplane, 10 days ago.
And you're going to solo tomorrow?
Solo tomorrow, yeah.
Wow,
That's right.
10 days.
Yeah.
So you got your medical checkup, and he gave you a little piece of paper?
That's right, yes.
Which is actually your student pilot's license?
That's right, yes. Yes, and my instructor endorses that tomorrow before I go solo. And by then I'll have 15 hours in the aircraft.
So you got your medical checkup, he gave you your student pilot's license.
Yes.
You started taking lessons.
That's right.
And 10 days later, you're ready to solo.
Well, hopefully tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the day, yes.
What did you learn in the last 10 days?
Well, a lot of dual instruction in the aircraft, 15 hours, and we've also done ground school, which has been about 30 hours time. And I've learned everything there is to know about the aeroplane.
You know everything there is to know. Right.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But I knew nothing.
When I was 18, I knew everything there was to know. But I've been losing ground since.
Oh, me too.
Okay, now you'll solo tomorrow. And then after you solo, what's the next step?
Well, the next step after that is to carry on and finish off the private pilot's license.
Well, but you have to go through steep turns around the point. And
steep turns and stall procedures, cross countries.
Then you have to do a long cross country.
That's right, yes.
Now that's a triangular course.
I understand so,
and
yes.
It has to be 100 miles. Each leg has to be 100 miles.
I understand so, yes.
So you're talking probably about a 4 or 5 hour cross country.
I think so, 3 to 4 hours, yeah. Yeah.
And then after that, they polish up anything that might need to be a little better, and then he calls the FAA designee.
That's right, yes, and there's a check ride with an instructor and a written exam and hopefully a private pilot's license.
Now, after you get your pilot's license here, Is it good in England?
It is, but I think you need to do a conversion to convert to the English airspace regulations. I think they're different to
But that's minor.
the US. That is minor, yeah.
Because
I think so, yeah.
in England, if you pull the stick back, the nose goes up.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
It's all the same.
Everything works exactly the
It's
same.
all the same, apart from the weather.
And I guess everybody has mentioned the weather. So I guess the weather is a big problem in learning to fly in England.
Well, it's very unpredictable. You know, if you schedule a flight for the next day, you really just can't tell what the weather's going to be doing. Whereas here, it's so reliable that you know that if you come for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you can fly pretty much every day.
Every morning you get up, you get dressed, you eat breakfast, and you go fly.
Just the same, which is brilliant for us because...
Which is when you're really learning, you need to fly every day, not
Sure.
wait a week or two.
That's what I've found, yeah. It's been great because you don't forget anything as you'll be going through it then. Whereas if you fly once a week for an hour a week, it can take you a year in England to learn to fly. Here you can do it in 3 to 4 weeks.
Tell our viewers what they're going to do to you tomorrow after you solo.
Well, they tell me that the ritual here is to be doused with water and covered in buckets of ice. So
it's
it'll
not,
be
it's
worth
not
it.
a styrofoam cup. It's a bucket of water.
Big buckets and a hose pipe.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell our viewers?
Well, really, this has been an ideal trip for me. It was a surprise for me, actually. My wife bought me this trip for my 40th birthday.
Wait just a minute. We've got a plane passing in back.
Okay.
It's a Lance Air, and I'll bet you that's the executive plane from Oregon that has flown down here. Okay. Say again.
Yeah, the whole trip for me was a surprise. I've always been interested in aviation, but my wife bought me this trip for her 40th birthday present.
Your wife bought it?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's all been a real whirlwind surprise for me, this. So 2 or 3 weeks, it's been brilliant.
You have a special wife.
Yeah, she's fantastic. Yes, that's right.
Thank you for visiting with us today.
Okay, thank you.
Our next guest is Catherine Morton, and this is no joke, folks. Catherine Morton's maiden name was Salt. That's right?
That's right, which I didn't know until I came to America because we don't have Morton Salt in England, and everyone was making a joke about my name and I didn't understand, but now I understand, so it's quite...
Okay, Catherine Morton, in addition to her name, is a very special lady, because when she came here to Anglo American Flight School, she was not a pilot. Tell our viewers your experience after you arrived here.
Well, I originally came here to get my private pilot's license. That was about 4 years ago. And since then, I did get my private pilot's license.
Okay, number one, you got your private pilot's license.
Here at Anglo American.
And what did you earn it in?
I did that. I started off in a 152, which I found...
Cessna 152.
Cessna 152, which I found was a little bit smaller. Sometimes can be very unstable when you go out on your long cross countries to the desert and it's very bumpy out there. So I switched over to the PA-28, which is the Warrior.
The Piper Warrior.
Piper Warrior.
It's a big Cherokee.
Right. And I found it much more comfortable. And I finished my private pilot's license in the Warrior. And
so you actually earned your private license in the Warrior?
Yes. And then I did some hour building, and I did a complex checkout in the Arrow. And then I moved on to the multi-airplane. I have a multi-private.
The twin.
Right,
multi-engine.
And
what was that in?
I did that in a Duchess. This is a Piper Seneca, but I haven't flown this one recently or for a long time.
Is the Duchess a Piper plane?
No, it's a Beech.
A Beech Duchess, yes.
Right. And then I went on to do my commercial helicopter license.
You moved from airplanes
to helicopters.
And so now, do you get a private pilot's license in the helicopter?
Well, if you have 150 hours of, or 100 hours in an airplane, you can do 50 hours in the helicopter, which will give you a commercial helicopter license.
Oh, so you don't have to earn a private license in the helicopter?
No, you can go straight to commercial.
Straight to the commercial.
So that's what I did.
What kind of a helicopter did you fly?
It's a Bell 47, the MASH helicopter, and it's very...
Does that have a jet engine on it?
No, it's a recip. A reciprocal
engine.
And I don't know if you've seen MASH, the series. It's the helicopter.
It's the old Korean War
exactly.
helicopter.
And they're really nice to fly. They're very stable and a heavier helicopter than some of the other lighter helicopters that people are flying now. So that was really good fun, and I really enjoy the helicopter.
So you're rated single engine land, multi-engine, and helicopter.
Right.
And what are you doing now?
Now I work here at Anglo American. I'm the operations manager. And hopefully in a couple more years, when I finish college, I would like to be an air traffic controller here in San Diego.
Are you going to college here?
Yes. I'm going to San Diego State University. And
how many girl students, or excuse me, how many lady students do they have here?
At the moment, we have about 3 female students, but we would like to have more because I think there's no reason why women can't fly just as well as men can, and I think it's something that more women should do.
Our camera director is a licensed pilot, a woman licensed pilot, and she did a promo one time standing in front of an airplane, and she said, if I can do it, you can do it.
Exactly.
To promote women in aviation.
Right.
Would you tell our lady viewers the same thing?
Well, I don't think that there's enough sort of education in school for females who might want to become pilots. It's something that you really don't think of that you could ever do because nobody really talks about it. It's just always assumed that it's a guy thing to do. So it wasn't until I actually came out here just for a holiday and realized that I could fly too, and it was really good fun. And I think that a lot of other girls would probably share that opinion.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our viewers?
Just that I feel really fortunate to be able to stay here in California. As I said, I came over from England where the weather is just abysmal. And
yucky. It translates
yucky,
to yucky.
And it's just so nice to be here, and the people are really friendly, and you can go take an airplane and fly anywhere in this country. And so probably some American people who've been here all their lives maybe don't appreciate how lucky they are when you come from another country and you think, it's really great to be here.
You don't appreciate the oasis until you've come across the desert.
Exactly. And so I feel really lucky to be here and to be flying here. It's great.
Thank you very much for visiting with us today.
Thank you, Fred.
Catherine Martin, female helicopter pilot, airplane pilot, and multi-engine pilot. Our next guest is Christopher Watson, who is the owner of Anglo American Flight School, the flight school that uses this katana. First of all, I have to ask you about the name. Why Anglo American?
Because we originally started, we were English American. Because we were English people flying in America. Everybody questions the name Anglo American.
Why are English people flying in America?
Because of the fuel prices.
Fuel prices?
Yeah, it's about half the cost of flying in the UK.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
so when they complain about gas being $1.40 here, it's double that in England?
At least that. It's
is
about
that right?
Probably $5 or $6 a gallon. Yeah.
Wow.
The gallon's slightly different because it's an imperial gallon, but it's still very expensive. Yeah.
Well, tell me why you chose this airplane for your flight school.
Well, I looked around the airport at all this sort of 40s and 50s technology that people are flying, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I thought it was time perhaps people learned in something that was 90s technology. You know, something that is composite, which is stronger than probably any aeroplane on the whole airport. And just something modern, really.
Now, you told me that there's a new model of the Katana coming out with a Continental engine?
Yeah, it's out already, and that's probably the biggest improvement to put a Continental in it, because
now the Rotax is okay.
Yeah.
It's an okay engine, but if they put a Continental in it, that'll be a big improvement.
Yeah, it's a lot faster and climbs a lot better. There's a 4-seat version out as well next year, I think, which will be IFR.
All right, now tell us about this Anglo American Flight School. You're located at Gillespie Airport in El Cajon, California.
Right.
Do you take American students? Are you open to the public?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we take anybody. Most of our marketing is done in the UK, and now some in France. But, I mean, we're located here right at the base of the tower. So if anybody walks through the door, we'll train them. And we'll train them in the Katana as well, which is...
But you have a lot of people who come from England to earn their license here because of the expense.
Yeah.
So it's cheaper for them to fly from England to California and get their license here than it is to get their license in England.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and have a 4-week holiday. Yeah.
Well, I guess weather has a lot to do with it,
Yeah,
too.
weather's a factor, because in England from November to March or April, it's really hard to go flying. And there's a lot of grass strips which are permanently sodden during the winter.
What else would you like to tell our viewers about your school?
We're 141 approved, and we have video courses, large ground school, and all that. So we're sort of, the whole thing was built, and we don't hide little costs that are going to surprise people. So we try and be straightforward.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
What else would you like to tell our viewers about your school?
I don't know, really. We're located at Gillespie Field. Come along and fly something modern.
As we were preparing to leave Anglo-American Flight School, one of the students came in from his first solo flight, and they have a very special ceremony prepared for him. Let's watch. In accordance with long-established tradition, a first-time solo pilot gets a ceremony.
By that way, I'm not finished. I forgot something.
Sorry, man.
For him. Good job. Bit wet. Good job. Really good. Good job. A little bit wet.
Yeah.
Man, I can't believe it.
Yeah, I went myself with you.
Huh? See my landings? It's like a basketball. Yeah, they were like that.
And that concludes our visit to Anglo-American Aviation Flight School.
Thanks, hey, well done. Congratulations.
Denver, land as your base, traffic short 5427, ready for Toronto, wind check com. Roger, altitude, clear to land. Tower 515, traffic short 5127, right, clear, touch and go. Clear, touch and go, 515.
Well, that's our show for today. We hope you enjoyed it. We certainly enjoyed bringing it to you. I'd like to thank the San Diego Aerospace Museum, the first place to visit when you come to San Diego, for bringing Aviation Theater to you. Until next week, this is Captain Fred saying, God bless America and happy landings!